Hey everybody, Fishing Fool here, and on today's episode I want to show you how to do a detailed strip of your weapon and the 25-cent trigger job, which consists of polishing key components of your trigger system and your safety. It's very easy to do, and it doesn't take very much time really. But as a little disclaimer, I want to put it out there, if you're new to pistols or you're new to the Glock systems, I don't recommend tearing it apart until you really familiarize yourself with your weapon. And you can get one of these mats that will run you about $12, depending on where you get it from. But it shows you all the key components of the gun and what order you want to put them in. But anyways, let's get into it. I've done the 25-cent trigger job to both of these weapons, and I'm only going to do it on one just to show you. But pull this one off the side, jump into it. Of course, you can see there's no magazine in this gun. It is safety checked. There's no rounds in the chamber. That's the first thing you want to do, of course. And then I like to check mine 2-3 times, no matter what. First thing you're going to do is take off your slide. Set that aside. Now you're going to need some kind of metal polish. I use Neverdull because it's just what I have on tap and it works good. But the first thing you're going to do here is you're going to take your pins out. You've got 3 of them. You've got one back here by the handle and 2 up here. Now some people tell you have to take out either one of these. Some guys will tell you got to take this one out first, because there's a spring up in there that your slide release goes up underneath this bar. I usually put this one in last, and as I'm going to put it in, which I'll show you when I go to put it back in, you just take and depress that spring, or you can put this one in first. It's just preference for me. But it's nice to have a little roll of tape too, so when you punch these out, you're not having to hold it all kind of crazy ways. But there we go. When you take out this bottom pin, you need to wiggle your slide release, because it's actually inside of this pin here, so it might take a little bit of finesse to get it out of there. And of course that won't come out for me. You may need to push on this side too a little bit. I always find that's the hardest dang thing to get out. That's what comes out relatively easy. And if you take that one out too, it gives you a little bit more room to play with this lever here. Come on. You're a son of a gun, aren't you? There we go. Alright. There's your slide release. And I like to take and put my parts in order of the way I take them out. It may be different. It just helps me. Then you're going to remove this block here. And I also forgot to say, this is a Glock tool. I bought this from the gun shop. It only cost me $8. And it's a nice tool to have. And the next pin you're going to take out, of course, is this. This holds your trigger group in. And after you've done that, you can pull out your entire trigger assembly. And as you can see, there's no parts in there left that you need to polish or anything. So we're going to set that to the side. That's your whole trigger assembly. Next, we're going to get to your safety. You're going to remove your barrel spring, or your recoil spring, excuse me, barrel. And the only thing, or the 2 things you're going to polish on here, of course, is your striker and the safety. And to get to those, dog hair all over it, but you're going to take and move your striker up, and you're going to press down. You'll see the actual sleeve up inside of there. and you're gonna press down on it, and when you do that, you can take this back plate off. But be careful too, because these things are under spring pressure. And you're gonna pull your striker out, and you're gonna pull this, which presses on your extractor or your ejector, whatever you call it. And you're gonna press down on your actual plunger here. This is your safety plunger. You press down on that, your extractor will come out. And be careful, you need to put your thumb over this because it will come out at you. It is under spring pressure. And the spring didn't want to come with it. Get that out of there. There we go. There's your spring. Try not to lose this thing. That is very important, of course. That goes up inside your safety plunger here. But I'm not going to actually show you how to polish these. I've already done this on here. I may take some of this real quick and just show you, but you've got those parts out, and here's your trigger assembly. To get this apart, you're going to take and pull it back and kind of bring it a little bit of an angle this way, and it'll come apart like this, and then you've got your spring. Now this is a little bit of a booger to get out of there, but I usually just take it off the actual trigger bar, just like that. If you've got this this tool here, it's another good thing to take out your your disconnector. On this back here, you've got a little slot. This fits right in there. Boom. There's your disconnector. Now this is not the stock disconnector. This is a Rocket 3.5 pound disconnector. As you can see, it's got the over travel stop, and I'll probably do a video on this too. But this requires a little bit of gunsmithing. But you also want to polish this. You're just going to polish this side of it and this part where it all makes connection, and the back side on your stock disconnector. You know, you don't have to polish the whole thing. I didn't on this. I just kind of gave it a quick job because it comes from Ghost pretty much smooth already. I just hit it just to give it that little bit of less friction. But the key things you're gonna polish on this bar is this back side. You don't really need to do it. I mean, it still does make contact with your pistol frame. And I'll take a little bit out here and show you real quick. This comes in a cotton. If you've got some kind of other metal polish, maybe with a cleaner in it, you can take and put it on with a Q-tip and let it haze and then wipe it off. But basically you're just going to take and wipe it on there, let it dry for a second or two, and then you're going to have your clean rag, and then you're just going to keep polishing it. And this is the stock trigger bar. This is not the serrated version. I actually opted to, I had the serrated triggers in my Glocks before, and I went ahead and got the flat triggers from Ghost. They were actually at the gun shows, so I picked them up, and these are the stock trigger bars. This thing was dirty, nasty looking when I got it, and this has been polished. It took me about a half hour, but that's basically all you're going to do is you're just going to wipe this stuff on, you know, using a little bit of pressure because this stuff it's got polishing compound on it. Let it haze up for a second or two, and you're just going to keep doing this over and over and over again until you've got it to where you want it. You know, I like to get it when you feel it. You know, after you've got all the polish off of there, it's going to feel really smooth to the touch, and that's what this 25-cent trigger job consists of. You're basically just breaking, you know, the mush off the trigger, and it's going to be a lot smoother, and there's not going to be much friction. So some of the other parts you're going to polish. The top of this your safety plunger depressor. I don't know how you say that. Whatever. This presses up on your safety plunger like this as you're pulling the trigger. So the top of this, you know, I've done this entire bar. You don't have to. I did this just for looks, whatever. I like my stuff to look nice. But, you know, this side here, of course, and then you're going to want to polish this entire area because this makes contact with your disconnector. It's basically, I can't really show you, but it makes connection with it. And this top part here, this ramp where your actual striker, this part here makes contact with this. And the back side here, you need to polish that as well. And if you want to, you can do like I did and polish the whole dang thing. I've even done the underside of this, but you just need to, you know, find the spots where it's making contact with other parts, and that's going to break down on your friction. You know, I've heard guys say this actually, doing this may pull a little bit off the trigger weight. I don't know, you know, it doesn't matter to me because I've already done key things to my weapon to make the trigger pull lighter, like this connector and this 6-pound trigger spring here. I've not used the safety spring because I don't like messing with the safeties, but basically that's it for your trigger bar. And here's your safety plunger. What you're going to want to polish is the top part of this and maybe the sides. I just polished the whole thing all the way around and then top because it is making contact with the frame, and I polished this half too. You know, I don't mess with this inside of here because you don't really need to. But this will also take a lot of the slop out of your trigger because it is making contact with your trigger bar. So that's the other thing you're going to want to polish. And of course, your striker, which to mine, it looks kind of like there's grooves in it right there. I don't know why. It looks like it's about time for a new striker, actually, but you know, polishing this too because this is also going to make contact with your trigger bar. You know, it's coming up like this. It's going to lock on and then come off, of course. But doing this trigger job, it's going to take all that factory slop out of your trigger and a lot of the grip, and it's going to make your shooting experience that much more enjoyable. And I think it just looks cool too when you go to take it apart and show your friends how clean and nice your guns look. But let's go ahead and put it back together. First thing you're going to do, of course, is put your striker back in there, just like that. And this part here is a little tricky. You're going to put your extractor back in there, making sure you put it in right, otherwise it will not function. And it only fits in there one way, of course, but you're going to put that back in, and then your spring part's always going to go towards the butt end of your slide. I know I'm doing this upside down, so you might not even be able to see what I'm doing here, but and as you can see, this lines up with your safety plunger there. You're going to put this bar is going to go in there and rest up against your actual extractor. This is what keeps the spring pressure on it, so your spring needs to go towards the end, just like this. And of course you need to put your spring back in your safety plunger here. Of course the spring came out. Come on, there it goes. Well, I actually need to pull. I did this step wrong. Showing you wrong already. Need to put your safety in there first. And for some reason the spring does not want to stay in there. It did originally, which makes this much harder. This is why, if you're not familiar with your weapon, this can be a pain in the butt. Ah. And of course, it's not going to go down in there unless your striker and this are out of there. I told you wrong. Excuse me. See, even I've had this gun for 5 years and I still mess up. But yeah, leave those off to the side, of course. And you can see it's under the spring pressure right now. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your extractor. And see, I'm even putting it in wrong. Wow. It's hard doing this upside down. And of course earlier, just like I said, this thing will pop out at you. Just being a pain in the butt. This is always the fun part for me. I love doing this crap. Making this video a lot longer than it should be. Come on, guy, go on there. Alright. Got it back in there. Let's see if I can do this without this thing springing out again. Ay, ay, ay. Doing this upside down is fun. There we go. And when you've got it set back in there, it's going to stay. But just be careful because this thing will pop out of you like it just did. This should be a how not to do it video. Then you can replace your striker and your bar here, making sure the spring is towards the end. And of course this is going to be another fun part here because trying to get this on, the back plate back on, is always fun. Having that, you're going to take and depress this and this at the same time. Do this first, that way your back plate will catch it. It's a little bit harder doing it with this. So it holds that in, and then you're going to take and do this while you can see it. Press this, and there you go, your back plate's back on. But there you go, your striker's back in place, your safety. And we can put your barrel back in. Oh, I'm having all kinds of problems today. Gonna bang a little bit, but there we go. You got your barrel back in and your recoil spring, and we can set that off to the side. Now we're gonna get back to your frame. First thing you're gonna do, of course, is put your disconnector back in there, and it's always gonna go on this side here. You can see the little groove. You're just gonna take and press that in there. Just like that, without dog hair on there, of course. And then you're going to take and put your spring back on your trigger bar, which this could be a little tricky. Taking it, and you'll see which way the hook is. You're going to set that right back in there. Bam. There you go. And it's going to go on the same way you took it off. You're going to have to pull a little bit of spring pressure on there, and you'll see this fits up in this little slot here. So you're going to put that back in there like that, and it's going to rest on there just like that. Mine's different because I've got that over travel stop in there. And then you're going to take and, and also while you've got this thing apart, it's always a good idea to get in these little nooks and crannies and clean it out if you're meticulous like I am. And you're going to take and press everything back in. And I like, when I put it back together, I'll always take and put this one back in. Just so it holds everything in place. It may come out the other side. He's taking, pushing it all the way out. Okay, and then you're going to take this piece here, which I can't even remember what it's called, but you can find it here on your actual Glock thing there. Now you go push that back in, and this is where a lot of people differ in the way I do it. Some guys that put this top pin in, which I mean you can, it's not a big deal. I like to put it in afterwards, after I put the your slide release and this pin back in. You can do it whatever way you want. Some people might tell you might damage it, whatever. This is just the way I do it. You don't have to do it this way. You can do it in reverse, put this one in. But I like to put it in from this way, so when I'm depressing that spring, it'll catch this little groove. But of course you're going to put your slide release back in there, and then make sure it's in there. I know it's in there, so push it back in with your finger, and once you've got it in there, you're going to feel it make connection with the, or if you push it all the way through like I just did, and I can feel there it's caught. And I like to push on it just a little bit just to make sure it's caught on this actual slide release. And then, this is a little bit harder, of course. You've got, I don't know if you can see it up in there, but your spring is in there. You've got the spring from this resting up against this block. So as you're putting this in, the way I do it, and as I've said, you don't have to do it this way. You can reach in behind here and depress that spring, and as doing it at the same time, pressing with your thumb, and it'll go right in there, and it's in. Now your frames, everything's back together, and you're done with your 25-cent trigger job. And you can put your slide back on. Of course, we know this gun is safety check. We safety checked that at the beginning. And now you're going to have a much smoother trigger, and it's going to make your time with your Glock that much more enjoyable, because it's going to have a lot of the grit taken out. You're not going to have as much slop in the trigger. It's not going to feel so gritty, and that just makes it much more enjoyable to shoot, because you're not getting that really nasty feeling to it. But there you go. I hope you guys like this video. I know I didn't put it back together the way I should have, but doing this upside down is the way I don't usually do it, just to show you guys. But I hope this helps you guys out, and as always, like and subscribe. Tell me how I'm doing, and do some other videos so we can all see how to do this stuff, because this is how I'm learning, is from you guys too, doing these videos. And as always, I appreciate everybody else's videos. That's why I'm trying to do this, to help other people out. So make sure you guys do your videos, and as always, y'all have a nice day.